President Barack Obama will soon be faced with a major decision that will reveal his dedication to environmental issues as the tar sands oil pipeline project makes its way to his desk for approval. 522 people have been arrested so far as hundreds of protesters engage in a 2-week-long action in front of the White House in order to alert the president to what they say is a critical moment in the battle to combat global climate change and our reliance upon non-renewable energy. The Keystone XL project seeks to significantly extend an oil pipeline constructed last year and would facilitate the transport of large quantities of tar sands oil from Alberta, Canada to refineries on the Texas coast. Many activists are concerned not only about the short-term effects, but also the potential long-term environmental and social impacts of the controversial project.
The tar sands are literally the dirtiest form of oil on the earth. They're 80% more carbon intensive than any other form of oil. And specifically, the development of those tar sands in Alberta has been an unbelievable environmental and economic disaster for that country. I think people are concerned about the pipeline in particular because it is going to expand the infrastructure for those tar sands and ensure that for several decades we'll keep drilling that oil. But also that pipeline itself will run through some of the most pristine farmland in the U.S., as well as go impacting Gulf Coast residents who are already battered by huge environmental justice concerns around existing refineries, pipeline spills, and other oil-related disasters like the BP oil spill. We firmly believe that the ethical choice here is to wean ourselves off of dependence of fossil fuels, to start looking towards renewable energy and building the infrastructure to switch our economy to that clean renewable energy, rather than the infrastructure that locks us into the same old destructive path of dirty oil.
The tar sands found in Canada and some other parts of the world are comprised of a viscous mixture of water, sand, and petroleum that is heavier and more corrosive than conventional sources of oil. The refinery process by which tar sands are converted into liquid oil is energy intensive and generates 2 to 4 times more greenhouse gases than conventional oil refinery techniques. The Keystone XL pipeline, funded by the Canadian company TransCanada, would pass through dozens of streams and rivers, as well as the enormous Ogallala Aquifer, which provides water for 1/3 of the crops produced in the United States, as well as drinking water for millions of people. The existing Keystone pipeline that went into production in the summer of 2010 has already experienced a dozen leaks, raising safety concerns over the XL extension among scientists like Jesse Hollister, who was arrested in front of the White House as part of the ongoing tar sands demonstrations.
Scientists and environmental groups have come out against this pipeline because there's pretty clear evidence that the construction of the pipeline and shipping oil through the pipeline across the United States won't be safe. So certainly for communities along the pipeline route, there'll be an immediate impact. It will also be going through some very delicate ecosystems which will be negatively impacted.
In Alberta, Canada, development of the tar sands has already taken its toll on a number of communities experiencing contaminated water supplies and adverse health effects. First Nations peoples have been hit particularly hard by the developments, which have become a focal point in a broader struggle for Indigenous rights and autonomy. Heather Milton-Lightning of the Indigenous Environmental Network traveled to the White House lawn from Canada to draw attention to the multitude of environmental and social issues confronting Indigenous peoples with projects like the Keystone XL pipeline.
There are folks that are impacted by it. You know, people are dying from cancer, their water's poisoned, their way of life is dying, and people are going to go extinct from this kind of development. And at this point, you know, this is happening day to day in these communities, and we want folks to come and just really talk about that. Also for us, you know, there are legally binding instruments called treaties in Canada and in the US side that we signed as Native American people, as nations, that we agreed to share this land with the United States and with Canada and with its citizens. And I think what's really problematic is that there's gross violations of human rights. There's violation of these treaty rights because of this development. Every human being deserves to have clean drinking water, to have clean air, to have the right to livelihood. And our treaties protect those rights. They protect the right to hunt and fish. And what the tar sands is doing is preventing people from having clean air, having clean water. They're getting sick. We're seeing a lot of people, you know, even further downstream now are being impacted by this. And these are people that are not doing the development. They're communities that have been there since time immemorial. Those treaties were supposed to protect our rights to live as we always have, and that's what's problematic. And these are the issues that we're trying to push and hold these governments accountable to. And not only the governments, the corporations themselves. You know, we have the right to say no to development.
On Friday, August 26th, the U.S. State Department released its final environmental impact statement, declaring that the pipeline would have no significant impact on area resources. A previous State Department report on the Keystone XL pipeline received a failing grade by the Environmental Protection Agency, which raised serious environmental and legal concerns surrounding the project. Jurisdiction lies with the State Department because the projected route crosses international borders, though they are required to consult with other agencies like the EPA. Companies in both Canada and the US have engaged in aggressive lobbying efforts promoting the tar sands development, which one ad campaign is portraying as ethical oil.
Clearly, there are some very powerful interests that will be benefiting directly from the construction of this pipeline. In the larger sense, I mean, petroleum production and use and consumption is the most profitable industry that the world has ever known. Oil companies make more profits than any company in the history of civilization. So with regard to the larger campaign of misinformation, I mean, it's easy to understand why extremely influential special interests with lots and lots of money to pour into public relations campaigns would have a lot of power to spread misinformation in the interests of continuing their profits.
It remains to be seen whether or not President Obama will approve the Keystone XL project, which the government is expected to act upon by the end of the year. On this particular issue, Obama has the power to veto the project without consulting Congress. Demonstrators have vowed to continue risking arrest in front of the White House through Labor Day as people try to sway the president on what could be his largest environmental decision yet. This is David Doherty with the Real News Network.